A lot of people look at me today and think they already know who I am. They see the characters, Neo, John Wick, Ted, and they imagine that the man behind them must be strong, unshakable, or maybe even a little mysterious. Some people call me the kindest actor in Hollywood. Others call me the saddest. The truth is, I'm just a human being who's lived through some storms and tried to walk forward with whatever light I could carry. My story didn't begin in a glamorous way. I was born in Beirut, Lebanon in 1964. It feels strange to say that out loud because I barely remember that city. It was more of a passing chapter than a childhood home. My mother was an artist, creative, restless, full of life. My father had a brilliant mind, but was fighting darkness I didn't understand as a kid. When I was 3, he left, and the rest of my childhood became a blur of airports, suitcases, and new beginnings that never lasted long enough to feel real. We moved from Lebanon to Australia, then to New York, then finally to Toronto. Every time we arrived somewhere new, I'd wonder if this was the place where life would finally settle. But it rarely did. My mother remarried more than once, and every new stepfather brought a different rhythm into the house. Some were kind, some were complicated, but none were permanent. I learned early that adults can disappear, that promises can break, and that love can be unpredictable. School didn't make things easier. I struggled with dyslexia, and words on the page seemed determined to run away from me. I was the kid who read slower than everyone else, the kid who didn't raise his hand, the kid who felt like he didn't belong. Teachers sometimes mistook my silence for laziness. Students thought I was strange. I carried a lot of insecurity in my pockets back then. But there were two places where the world made sense: on stage and on the ice. Ice hockey became my first escape. I loved the speed, the cold air, the thud of the puck hitting my pads. As a goalie, I felt like the last line of defense. Something about that responsibility made me feel strong. My teammates called me the Wall. It was the first nickname I ever made me proud. I dreamed of being a professional player until a bad injury forced me off the rink for good. One moment I was skating toward a future I understood, and the next I was limping away from it forever. Acting came into my life more quietly. My mom worked in costume design, so I spent a lot of time behind the scenes, breathing in the smell of old curtains, listening to actors rehearse lines, watching worlds being built from nothing. Something about storytelling felt like home. I didn't have the confidence to say it out loud, but deep down I hoped that maybe, just maybe, I could be part of that world. I started small. Community theater, little roles, commercials. I took whatever came my way. I wasn't great at the beginning. In fact, I was pretty awkward. But acting gave me something school never did: a chance to express myself without worrying about being wrong. At 17, I made a decision that scared everyone around me. I dropped out of school. I didn't have a diploma, I didn't have money, but I had determination. I worked odd jobs to survive: sharpening skates, cooking, landscaping, anything that kept me moving while I chased auditions. Eventually, a few small roles rolled in: a commercial here, a TV spot there, and then a film called Youngblood, where I landed a part as a hockey player. Life has a sense of humor like that. By the late 1980s, I found myself in Los Angeles, the city where dreams grow or collapse. I didn't know anyone, I didn't have connections, but I had hope and a motorcycle that barely ran. I felt like a stranger riding toward a future I couldn't see yet. My first big break came in 1989 with Bill and Ted: Excellent Adventure. I played Ted, optimistic, goofy, full of wonder, and you know what? There was a lot of me in that character. People loved the film, and suddenly I was on posters, in magazines, on TV. But with that success came a strange problem. Hollywood thought I was Ted. They thought I couldn't play anything else. So I spent the early 1990s trying to prove I could do more. Point Break came in 1991, and suddenly I was an action guy. I trained hard, learned to surf, did stunts that scared me, and worked alongside Patrick Swayze, a man whose courage and kindness left a mark on me. Then came Speed in 1994 with Sandra Bullock, a film that changed my life in a way I didn't see coming. People saw me differently after that. They saw potential. They saw versatility. But that decade wasn't just about success. It was also filled with loss, the kind that crushes you quietly. My best friend, River Phoenix, died in 1993. River wasn't just talented, he was pure-hearted, thoughtful, gentle. Losing him was like losing a piece of my soul. I still think about him, I still carry him with me. A few years later, someone else walked into my life, Jennifer Syme. She was bright, kind, and full of warmth. In 1999, she became pregnant with our daughter. We were nervous, excited, terrified, everything new parents feel, until the unimaginable happened. Our daughter was stillborn. There are no words for that kind of grief. It changes you. It rearranges you. Jennifer and I drifted apart after that. Not because we didn't care, but because pain pushes people into silence sometimes. In 2001, she died in a car accident. Losing her so soon after losing our child felt like fate was hitting the same bruise over and over again. During that time, my sister Kim was battling leukemia. I spent most of my days trying to be strong for her, even when I didn't feel strong myself. People wonder why I live quietly, why I stay humble, why I seem reflective. The answer is simple. Life has taught me that everything can disappear in a moment. So I try to be present. I try to be grateful. I try to live gently. And then, The Matrix happened in 1999. That film wasn't just a job. It was a spiritual journey wrapped in leather and slow motion. The Wachowskis handed me a script filled with questions about reality, choice, truth, and freedom. Training for Neo was intense. Months of martial arts, wire work, philosophy sessions, and bruises in places I didn't know could bruise. But something about the role felt like destiny. People tell me all the time that Neo changed their lives. What they don't always realize is that he changed mine too. After The Matrix, my career became unpredictable. Some films worked, some didn't. Hollywood likes to put labels on people, and for a moment it felt like the industry wasn't sure what to do with me anymore. But I kept working, quietly, steadily, trusting that something meaningful would come again. And it did, in the form of a man named John Wick. When the script first came to me, it seemed simple. A retired assassin seeking justice. But underneath, it was a story about grief, love, loss, and resilience. Themes I understood deeply. I trained harder for John Wick than for almost anything before. Judo, jiu-jitsu, gun work, driving, hours of practice every day. I wanted Wick to feel real. I wanted people to see his pain, not just his skill. No one expected the film to explode the way it did, but audiences connected with it. Maybe because they saw not just a killer, but a broken man trying to hold on to the last pieces of his humanity. And suddenly, I had a new chapter in my life, one I didn't see coming. Over time, the internet started sharing stories about me. Little moments caught on camera. Me giving up a subway seat. Me talking to strangers. Me eating alone on a bench. People saw sadness in some of those photos, kindness in others. Truthfully, I was just living, just being a person. Kindness isn't a performance for me. It's a choice I make every day, because I know how much a small gesture can matter. I've had strangers save me in ways they never knew. A smile, a kind word, a moment of understanding. Those things stay with you. When The Matrix brought in huge profits, I shared a large portion of my earnings with the special effects and costume teams. Not because I'm generous, but because I believe filmmaking is a team effort, and every person on that set deserves recognition. Money has never defined me. I live simply because simplicity gives me peace. Over the years, I've explored passions outside of acting too. I co-founded Arch Motorcycle Company, where we build custom bikes, machines that feel like sculpture and engineering woven together. I wrote a little book called Ode to Happiness, a mix of poetry and reflection. I stepped into the gaming world with Cyberpunk 2070, which introduced me to an entirely new kind of audience. And of course, returning to The Matrix in 2021 felt like walking back into a dream I'd left behind. Seeing fans react, feeling their nostalgia, it reminded me how deeply stories can connect us. But if you ask me what I'm most proud of, it isn't the fame or the movies. It's the small things. Sharing a birthday cake with strangers in a park, talking with someone who needs a moment of connection, shaking hands with crew members and learning their names, being present, even when life feels heavy. Those moments, tiny, unpolished, quiet, are the ones that make me feel human.
My life has been a mixture of light and shadow. I've known success, but I've also known pain that left me breathless. I've lost people I loved deeply. I've faced doubts, failures, loneliness, and fear. But I've also felt joy, gratitude, and a sense of wonder that refuses to dim. And maybe that's the real message of my story. Life will hurt you. Life will test you. Life will take things you thought you could never live without. But you can still choose to be kind. You can still choose to move forward. You can still choose to love, even after heartbreak. And you can still build something beautiful from the pieces left behind. So if my journey inspires anyone, I hope it inspires this. Be gentle with others and with yourself. Stay humble. Success doesn't make you more valuable than anyone else. Stay strong. Pain is not the end of your story. And keep going. One step, one breath, one moment at a time. Because that's what I've done. And somehow, it's led me here.